another component to that upcoming. Today we're taking a look at the newly released Season 1 details. Yeah, before launch, we already know when and what's coming for Season 1 of Battlefield 6. And the nice part, it's a substantial drop of content following in waves not too far after the launch. So you'll have a whole game to experience, and then even more coming very soon after. So drop your thoughts as we go along. What part are you looking forward to the most? Drop a like if you enjoy the video, and make sure to subscribe. We've set some lofty goals here in the past leading into launches, but we're pushing towards the next milestone of 700,000 subscribers, which we're still a ways off of, but the support has been absolutely nuclear lately. So if you'd like to join the community and stay in the loop with FPS content, Battlefield 6 included, I'd love to have you in the community. Anyways, let's get into it. So first, I gotta give him credit. Battlefield has leaned hard into the competition of COD versus Battlefield this year, taking me back to whatever year it may have been, back in high school and everything, but their live action trailer had that collaboration nod with celebrities and they just killed them off in the first 10 seconds. Then, an hour before Black Ops 7's multiplayer reveal kicked off, that's when they dropped their Season 1 preview, attempting to upstage them another time here, which is quite the gutsy or ballsy play here. I respect that. But that's where we got this information we're talking about today. Season 1 has been officially confirmed to start on the 28th, but as we mentioned, it's coming in multiple different waves of things here. 3 main events of Rogue Ops, which is the launch.
Yo, Reg, you think the receiver in LA hitting more than 70 yards?
I think the only thing
event of Season 1 coming on October 28th, California Resistance on November 18th, and then Winter Offensive on December 9th. Now it seems like at that point in January, you could probably look towards some type of Season 2 launch. Of course, we do have the holidays here that could put a damper in the timelines of what appears to be relatively 3 weeks in between everything here at this point. But for the time being, that's what we have for Season 1 in relation to key dates. What comes along with those? Well, the first thing you'll end up seeing is Rogue Ops, which is tied with California Resistance as like the more substantial pieces to the update here. And being that it's a seasonal launch, of course, that makes sense. But with Rogue Ops on October 28th, you're going to get a brand new multiplayer map of Blackwell Fields. This was one that has leaked out in the past. There is some gameplay out there of like the Chinese versions of labs that had access to this, and there was some run-throughs of all of that. But that's coming along on the 28th. You'll have a new mode of Strike Point, that being described as an intense small team tactical mode where a squad fights another squad across multiple rounds to capture a key objective. This is only a 1 life mode each round, so it is one of those things that you're gonna have to, as they say, make it count. You'll have a new vehicle of the Traverser Mark II. You'll have the new carbine of the SOAR 300 SC, a lower rate of fire subcompact carbine chambered in 300 Blackout compared to the standard platform's 5.56, the GGH-22 sidearm, a high capacity, high rate of fire and low damage pistol, and the Mini Scout sniper rifle, which they mentioned remembering the Scout Elite as kind of like the baseline for this, where it's a lightweight bolt action sniper designed for aggressive recon play. And finally, the rail cover and LPVO attachments. These available on a variety of different rifles and LMGs. It said both of these are the first of several attachments to drop in the post-launch season here. It does list and more, but nothing is really detailed here out of that. For this, it's more than likely, of course, going to include a battle pass in that and more section, maybe some seasonal challenges and stuff, but we don't have specific details on that just yet. California Resistance, however, comes on November 18th and is going to feature that new map of Eastwood. Again, another one that we saw that did leak out from prior labs builds. You'll have a new mode of Sabotage, that being a limited time mode, not necessarily a brand new mode coming as it seems like Strike Point is, that seemingly being a core mode added in. But Sabotage tasks you and your team with destroying as many sites as possible before the round timer finishes. You both go on attacking and defensive sides, but the team that destroys the most bombs ends up winning. You'll have the Battle Pickups new feature, these being high-tech, powerful weaponry that are limited in ammo and availability throughout any given map. The DB12 new shotgun, that being a dual-barrel pump-action shotgun feeding from 2 different tubes. One trigger pull fires a shell from one barrel, the second fires the other. The M327 trait sidearm is a high-damage, low rate of fire 8-round revolver, and the Troy angled attachment along with, again, and more listed. And finally, Winter Offensive is December 9th. This likely being the last update that we see before the holiday break for the Battlefield team, before everybody goes away for whatever holiday they celebrate in the end of December, and then into the new year as well. We'll have Ice Lock Empire State, which is a limited time event map where it's a snow-covered version of Empire State. You'll also have the Ice Lock event and the Ice Climbing Axe melee weapon, likely coming along with that event, and listed and more. So that's a decent bit of stuff to look forward to in just 2 weeks after launch, which personally, I don't mind that setup at all because, I mean, in the past, Battlefield content seasons have started, honestly, on a roller coaster of different time frames between when the launch is and when that first content season or drop is. Like 2042, for example, was just under 7 months after the launch of the game that we saw Season 1. And of course, that was for a litany of different game-breaking reasons, but then you also had things like Battlefield 5, that launch to Chapter 1 was only 27 days. Battlefield 1 was just under 5 months after its launch when it got its first DLC drop, and then things like China Rising for Battlefield 4 was 36 days. So like all over the map here at this, but to see it now just 18 days after the launch of Battlefield.
AT&T Business helps with big uploads.
So many uploads.
Client says make the logo bigger.
Battlefield 6, we're jumping in pretty quick and on a sort of frequency that is pretty nice as well. You're not going to have those DLC drops and then months at a time where you don't have anything, or at least what we see with Season 1, that's not the case. You're probably going to have, again, 3 to 4 months here before we end up seeing a Season 2, so from October to what I would imagine is like early January at some time, but you have a major update every 3 to 4 weeks here at this point coming throughout Season 1, which is definitely cool. Oh, and coming back to it, how we talked about how Battlefield's kind of taken that sort of ballsy approach to leaning into the competition with Call of Duty. Well, did you notice when California Resistance is? November 18th, just 4 days after the launch of a full Call of Duty title. So they're hedging their bets. They think they've got a good enough product and they're going after that launch date of a full Call of Duty title. So more power to you in that case. Now, the one thing that we'll talk about here with this is that there's still one big elephant in the room, one giant pillar for Battlefield 6 that we've yet to see revealed for a release date. That being the Battle Royale. Now, as a little refresher, it was reported a couple of weeks ago that we'd see the Battle Royale for Battlefield 6 launch on October 28th. Thus corresponding with the launch of Season 1 here, and it's very possible that could be part of that and more strategy. But we also don't know because there's 3 different dates here with varying levels of content associated with each of these. And honestly, I think if we're kind of discussing this a little further, each date has a couple of different risks associated with it. October 28th, if you launch it then, the pros, you have ample time for play of this before the holidays and getting a sort of growth period for it, plus also taking advantage of that holiday rush to get fully ahead of competition and everything like that. Like that gives that so much more time to grow in Q4, which for publishers is huge. But at the same time, on the flip side of that coin, it's not a lot of time for players to prep and get ready for the game. Like we know there's going to be some component of custom weapons in this game, not necessarily like a loadout that you see in Warzone, but you have the ability to choose from a weapon drop, one of your own weapons that you want. So this will still be brand new for most players at 18 days past launch, and whether or not they have everything ready to go for that, that's probably a little less likely. November 18th, the middle point of this season here, the pros, there's a lot actually. Like you have plenty of time to play and grow in Q4, plus you still have that holiday rush coming up where all that spend happens for publishers, consumers, everything across the board. Q4 and the holidays are always the biggest monetary period of the year, but it's a more balanced timeline of then letting players grind out the game, plus also allowing them to complete their post-launch hopes, like playing campaign the whole way, getting collectibles, ranking up your weapons, stuff like that. You also may see some interest dwindle from that month out, that it could be like another spark back to uptrending, keeping the game in the limelight for as long as possible instead of just dropping it all up front. This then also would go as direct competition for Call of Duty at that point. Again, November 14th being Black Ops 7's full release date. So that's something that could go after it as a pro as well. It also fills up more content in that and more section because you don't have as much as the initial launch in terms of what's being offered on the 18th, but you also don't have as little as what's being offered on the 9th. And finally, when dropping a brand new experience like this, there's no real need to worry about deadlines of the holidays just yet because another update is already scheduled for the 9th after that, and no one's really worried about being away from the office for the holidays, that if the game's broken, it's not necessarily something that you can't fix at that point. You have plenty of time to do so. The cons, though, for this is, again, it goes directly against Black Ops 7's competition. That's definitely a gamble. While a lot of people will think, okay, this looks great by comparison for a casual player launching something they know they're going to play versus a new experience that even is free to play, that's still a sort of known name versus no name situation. And finally, December 9th, the pros here for this, it fills the rest of that seasonal offering with the least amount of content for that update, whereas it would be like a lackluster update perhaps by comparison otherwise. It still hits that holiday rush that publishers love for Q4, that prime spending opportunity, and gives players the most amount of time to experience and rank up things for their gameplay experience. The cons, however, it's the last known update for Season 1. If something goes wrong with that launch, that could be hugely problematic for the initial reception and longevity of the mode. Like we saw with, for example, the Warzone Caldera integration. That never really recovered, even though the following seasons of 2 through 5 for Vanguard were actually really solid for Warzone in that year. But because it was so problematic, people just didn't give it another chance. So you're playing with fire when it comes to fixes being out before the holiday breaks, and again, COD can be a sort of testament to how important it is to get it right and to have time to fix problems that may persist. This also, it's then, as another con, likely directly competing with Season 1's launch and Warzone integration, which admittedly, with the offering that was shown at Season 1 of Warzone, I don't think the quality is in question of who would win in head-to-head, a brand new experience in its entirety versus just the map update and a resurgence update, but the sort of new IP versus existing behemoth, both having massive marketing, it'd be interesting to see how that would stack up. But you see where I mean, like we have 3 checkpoints here with Season 1 if that report of around October 28th does hold true. So we'll see what becomes of this, but right now we don't know the fate of that. However, the rest of Season 1, that post-launch content being dropped free to play, starts on October 28th, and honestly, doesn't look like a half-bad season, in my opinion. I think that Battlefield is really trying to go all out here at this, and if all the seasons follow from like January onward, like if it's a constant, stable update of something like this every single month, not bad at all, in my opinion. Definitely nice by comparison to prior Battlefield games and their content launches. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, that's what we know of Season 1. A lot up on deck here shortly after the launch of Battlefield 6. So it's only getting even better for those that love the content-heavy style of what we have. But for now, that's where we're going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of the Season 1 offering? Like it? Dislike it? Drop your thoughts. If you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Battlefield 6 and plenty more FPS content. I would love to have you in the community as we chase down 700,000 subscribers. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.